Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hillsborough County Community Action Board, Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. The time is now 5:12 p.m. Meeting is called to order. Introductions. Rosa Hill, Chair, Hillsborough County Community Action Board. And we'll follow to my right and go around.
And I guess that would be me on the right. This is Joey Henderson with Greater Tampa Realtors, representing the Honorable Ken Hagan. I am the Vice Chair and Chairman of the Bylaws Committee.
I'm also on the right on my screen. So this is Samelia Davis representing Plant City, Billsville area, southeastern Hillsborough County.
So we can go ahead and finish with the people on the screen. So I'll call you out. Mr. Harold Jackson.
White.
Go ahead. I'm
Good
sorry.
afternoon. Harold Jackson, appointed by Commissioner Myers. Good evening, everybody.
Okay, Ms. White.
Andrea White, low income housing.
Ms. Miller.
Good evening, everyone. Northern Copeland Miller, representing the Western Caribbean Advisory Council, low-income sector, and I chair the membership and nominating committee.
Okay, let me see if I can see here. Ms. Nguyen. You're muted, Ms. Nguyen.
Oh, that's not gonna work. Ostea Nguyen, City of Tampa.
Mr. Simmons.
Patrick Simmons, East Hillsborough Advisory Council.
Ms. Gilselberger.
Rhonda Gindelsberger, Feeding Tampa Bay.
Ms. Gillis.
Good evening, Maria Gillis with Social Services.
Ms. Ziegler.
Good evening, I'm present.
Ms. Mastrada.
Good evening, this is Kelly Mistretta.
Mr. Brown.
This is Gabriel Brown, Hillsborough County Head Start, Early Head Start.
Mr. Guida.
Good evening, everyone. Derek Guida, Social Services.
Ms. Madera.
Good evening, Angela Madero, Social Services.
Mr. Gerard.
Good evening, James Gerard, Social Services.
Pootman, Mr. Pootman.
I am the moderator for this from Hillsborough County.
Thank you. Mr. Santos. Mr. Santos, are you there?
Mr. Santos Morales, can you hear us? He is unmuted but is not responding right now.
Okay, I believe I've addressed everyone online. So if we can follow the room, starting with Ms. Christine.
Hello, I'm Christine Long with Metropolitan Ministries.
Good evening, Marcia Sedano with League of United Latin American Citizens, and Chair of the Public Information Committee.
Good evening, Kimberly Mitchell, Commissioner Stacy White, Representative.
Good evening, Sharon Gordon, Social Services.
Good evening, Regina Gambrell, Low Income Sector.
Good afternoon, Dr. Benny Smalley, Staffer.
Good afternoon, Ray Wong, representing Commissioner Harry Cohen. Good evening, Santos Morales from Enterprising Latinas in South Shore, Waimama.
William Thomas Jr., representing the City of Plant City.
Thank you. Was anyone omitted from the introductions?
Good evening, Carl Harness, Hillsborough County.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Harness. We'll have the invocation. Mr. Parliamentarian, if you don't mind, Mr. William Thomas.
Yes, Madam Chair. Dear Heavenly Father, we again just ask that you just watch over us as we go about the business of the Community Action Board for Hillsborough County. We ask that you have a watchful eye on all of us as we go through the challenging times that the Hillsborough County residents are enduring. We ask again that you keep our hearts and minds focused on about the business of serving our residents in the greater Hillsborough County area. These are bless me, as our son in Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
To the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you very much. I will go ahead and do the mission statement. The Hillsborough County Community Action Board partners with community stakeholders to stabilize and empower vulnerable individuals and families to achieve self-sufficiency through advocacy and essential services. As noted, we do not have a quorum, an in-person quorum, so we cannot vote or approve anything. We can only follow the agenda for discussion, if there be any. We have the approval of the February and January meeting minutes. I am going to ask someone just to state that those be tabled.
Madam Chair, this is William Thomas, City Plant City. If allowed, I'd ask for the board, both virtually and in person, to review the minutes. And if there is a consensus, I ask that the board members, both virtually and in person, note there are no changes, as they feel there are no changes to the minutes, and then we can table that for approval rather than having dialogue at that time. So I would hope that the board can vet out the minutes. If there are any corrections, please note and get a consensus, and then we can table it for vote and approval once we get a quorum.
Okay, so are there any comments regarding the meeting minutes for January and February for discussion only? Okay, there be none. We'll move on to the manager's updates. Mr. Gerard.
Yes, I am James Gerard, manager of the University Community Resource Center, and we continue to have testing at the site with the state, and we've also prepped the offices should we need them for another round of R3 of the stimulus funding.
Thank you, Mr. Gerard. Ms. Sharon Gordon.
Yes, hello, thank you, Madam Chair. We have 2 remaining events for the Feeding Tampa Bay mobile food pantries, and in your packet, we've provided the updated schedule. We did provide the schedule prior, however, there was a change in one of the locations on Hanley in Town and Country. It closed, so they did move around some of the events. And just so you'll know, the last 2 events are February 23rd and March 23rd, and you have served through the Community Service Block Grant 1,742 households and 56,263 pounds of food, and that's through the end of January. Currently, we're in the process of renewing our CSBG-related partner agreements so that once the board has a quorum to vote on the budget, we can move forward and get those agreements renewed with our partner agencies. And as you know, the scholarships have gone live. And so far, we have received 23 returning applications and 5 new, and that is as of today. I met with the Public Information Committee yesterday, and we didn't have a number, but I followed up today, and we do have some applications, so that's great news. And then yesterday, to further advertise the scholarship, I did a presentation that was coordinated by Library Services. So that will be available on YouTube and to the public. It provides a little more in-depth information on the application process and may answer some questions that we typically get every year when we're reviewing applications. And again, as we all attended the Community Action Partnership 2021 Management and Leadership Conference, which was a great virtual conference this year. And that is all I have to report.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Ms. Shelley Hamilton-Ray?
Ms. Hamilton-Ray, this is Sharon again. She was at Lee Davis covering for the testing, so she will be joining us a little late, so she provided me a report. So again, she attended the Community Action Partnership 2021 Management and Leadership Conference. Testing is still ongoing at Lee Davis, averaging 500 to 600 testings per day. The new vendor on site is CDR Maguire out of Tallahassee. And this company provides both the PCR 2 to 3 day for lab results and the rapid testing, which the results are ready in 15 minutes. And Healthy Living is conducting virtual exercise classes Monday through Friday at Lee Davis. And managers attended the virtual community police relationships. It must have been a forum, and learned what's ahead by the Derrick Brooks Charities. And that's all I have for her report.
Thank you. Mr. Chiang Mai?
Hello, everyone. This is Chiang Mai for South Shore in Plant City. Our career source partner is still open and seeing customers at both sites. So if anyone is needing job placement and unemployment assistance, please refer them there. And like James was saying, we're gearing up for the third phase of our R3 program. And one of my team will be assisting with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Angela Madero?
Good evening again. I also attended the management conference, management leadership conference. The training staff have been supporting staff with the virtual intake workflow, and we also provided training to the new CAB board members this month. And like Chen and James mentioned, also gearing up for R3, and some of my staff as well as myself will be on that program as well.
Thank you. Any questions, comments for the social services managers?
Yes, Madam Chair, my hand is raised. This is Noreen Copeland-Miller.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Miller.
I just wanted to add to the Lee Davis Advisory Council partner with Feeding Tampa Bay for the 23rd of February, where we will be doing our survival kits for our community project, and they have partnered with us to do distribution since they already have something in place. So, and I shared that with Ms. Shelley Hamilton-Ray. So that'll conclude our proposal from the Lee Davis Advisory Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Copeland-Miller. Is there anyone else? Okay, moving on to standing committee reports. First on the agenda is the Executive Committee, myself, Rosa Hill, Chair. We have an upcoming, I was trying to get into my calendar. We have an upcoming standing committee meeting. Right now, they're running right behind these meetings. I'm sorry, I'm looking for it in my calendar. Sharon, can I ask you to give me the date?
Yeah, actually, I'll defer to Mr. Guida if he has any updates on the schedulings for the executive committee meeting.
Good evening, everyone. Currently, I'm not sure that we have a date for that meeting, but if you let me know, I'll make sure that we get one. Usually it's the, what have we been doing, the third Thursday of the month? Or
Actually, we were supposed to keep the same schedule as we had last year.
Okay.
Yeah, then we could revisit it. I think with the, going virtual and hybrid, we probably need to revisit that and schedule the standing meetings because we weren't until now. So we'll make sure to revisit that. Thank you.
Okay, just let me know what I need to do with that, and I apologize, everyone. If we can move on to the bylaws committee meeting, please. Mr. Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The bylaws committee did meet on January the 14th at 4 p.m. In addition to Ms. Ziegler and Ms. Gordon, Ms. Gillis, and I think Derek, you were in attendance as well. I was the only CAB member in attendance. So we just met among each other and had a very good conversation with regards to where we are with regards to the bylaws. In terms of our bylaws CAB composition, and I do apologize because my dog is looking out the window and is ready to let go of a large yelp. Yes, I'm looking at you. For the most part, we are definitely in compliance as far as our composition. There are some extra seats with regards to our low income, and staff, by all means, feel free to chime in once I get through this. With regards to vacancies, the city of Temple Terrace continues to be vacant. Staff has done due diligence to do outreach and to send letters and also set a calendar for follow-up. So it's just not that they're sending a letter and hoping somebody will respond. They are following up to try to get that vacancy filled. Mr. Guida sent another reminder advising them to fill the seat a couple of weeks ago. And the important thing about making sure that we try to comply as much as possible with regards to these vacancies, or filling these vacancies, is that after about 6 months, DEO will inquire, the state will inquire. And so we want to try to stay one step ahead of them as much as possible. In our conversations, we also talked about a point of contact for emergency situations. We are so happy to hear Dr. Small's voice. I don't see your picture on here anywhere, but we're definitely glad that you're here and that you're well and that you're among the CAB once again. But there was a concern that we had no way of really reaching out to members who may run into a certain situation. So we talked a little bit about coming up with a form and allowing members to, if they want to, provide a contact that we would invite them to do that and encourage them to do that. Let's see. We have Ms. White representing the low income. She signed her documents and returned them, and we thank you. And once again, happy to have you join us, Ms. White. And just one more point with regards to the CAB meetings. Staff will always have at least 2 people in attendance for these meetings to enable more of us as CAB members to attend the meeting. I did send my regrets after I told the staff that I do plan on being in attendance, and something came up, and so it really pushed me to a point that I would not be able to make it downtown in time for the meeting. But nonetheless, you can see the video, and I commend staff and the county for making sure that they take good care of those who are permitted to come into the building. They sanitize everything. They have acrylic guards around each seat at the table of that conversation, and along with hand sanitizer and what have you. So I just point that out because I do want to encourage as many of us to try to attend these meetings as possible so that we at least have a quorum to be able to continue with satisfying and conducting the business at hand. Staff, do you have any input? Follow up with what I reported, what we met about?
You are very thorough, Mr. Henderson.
Thank you.
Mr. Henderson, I have nothing to add.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all once again, and that completes my report there, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. Henderson. Budget and Finance, Mr. William Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only point of concern that I have, I asked for the board members to research and ask the Madam Chair you consider that for further discussion when we do have a quorum, or actually prior to having a quorum, the direct client services funding from the report from December 2020. At our last workshop meeting, we had talked about the crisis program category. In addition, I was reviewing the CARES Act funding category for crisis assistance. Now, I do know we had talked directly, Madam Chair, regarding the direct client assistance, and we had deliberated heavily on ensuring those funds were going to be spent, and we wouldn't have to be dealing with an issue of excess funding. But, Madam Chair, I would like to point out on the CARES Act funding for the report that came out this month, the mail out for this month, that the client crisis assistance category, we had what I believe to be a significant increase in the actual month amount of $246,000, $246,467.67. And I think that, I know we realized in December, that was probably to address a direct need, but I do want to recall that we had deliberated regarding the direct client services category, that we were not going to continue that category moving forward for the next budget year. And it was my intention, Madam Chair, to ask that we consider looking at the CARES Act category as well. But I do see that there was a significant amount of funding that was spent in December. And again, I'd like for the board members to review that, staff to look over that, because I believe that will be a point of discussion for our next CAB board meeting if we have a quorum. So I was asked the Madam Chair, will you look at that and consider that to be put on the agenda for the next CAB board meeting? And that's all I have.
Are there any more comments around that request?
Ms. Hill, Madam Chair, may I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding Mr. Thomas' recommendation, I recommend that that's added to the executive committee meeting first to discuss and get a better understanding of what he's requesting. That way we'll be prepared during the CAP board meeting, the next full meeting, if any vote is needed.
So Ms. Gordon did bring this to my attention, Mr. Thomas, that you had made this request, and she did request that we bring it to the executive CAB meeting. She should have responded back to you that I think it is a good idea to bring it to the executive meeting first, so it can be vetted out with staff exactly what you're looking for, what you're asking, what you want the board to be presented with, in order not to belabor this long discussion during our regular board meeting. So if that is okay, that is what I've asked staff to do.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate your approval of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Plan evaluation, are there any more discussions around that topic? Plan evaluation, Ms. Anderson, I didn't see her on the roll call. Are there any updates from Ms. Anderson?
Madam Chair, this is Sharon. I spoke with Ms. Anderson today, and she was planning to attend in person, but I guess she must have been deterred. However, she did inquire regarding the during the last CAB meeting, we discussed about the Wi-Fi internet service that would be offered through CSBG Cares. So we are still researching the options. We've done a lot more research. We're actually working with our I always forget the Information and Innovation Office with the county, and they're actually contacting the vendors, putting together a matrix. That way we'll be prepared to return to the board with the pros and cons, this pricing structure, so that you can make an informed decision on what's best. But it will be vetted through the Planning and Evaluation Committee first.
Thank you. Any comments or discussion? None? Okay. Nomination and Membership Committee, Ms. Noreen Copeland-Miller.
Again, Madam Chair, I do want to note that last month we were able to seat the Honorable Commissioner Myers appointed Harold Jackson, and the other commissioner reappointed Mr. Wan, and then Andrea White was seated from the Lee Davis Advisory Council in the low-income sector from last month. But we were looking at reaching out to Tampa Terrace, and I know the staff has been doing that. And so I did a follow-up with Albert Coleman and to see if there was any way he could maybe reach out there as well, so we could get that representative from Tampa Terrace. And that was on the sidebar. So we did not meet this month, but I know it's been an issue with getting someone to fill the Tampa Terrace vacancy. But I have been trying to be proactive and reach out to Mr. Coleman to see if he have assistance with helping us with that. And I know staff has been doing their due diligence, trying to get that filled. And that's pretty much it for the Nomination and Membership Committee.
Thank you so much. Any questions, comments? I'd like to circle back to the Executive Committee. The last
Madam Chair?
Executive Committee meeting was held on the 21st of January. And the only items we had on the agenda at that time was the board attendance review and the update on the proposals, agency proposals, which we discussed during our last budget training meeting. So I'm going to ask staff, just to reiterate, if we could keep these meetings the third Thursday of every month at 12 o'clock, I think, because the majority of the board members have that on their schedule, and I would hate to change the schedule. So if at all possible, if we can keep these executive meetings on the third Thursday of every month. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a report for the public information.
I am so sorry I omitted you. Please forgive me. You have the floor.
No problem. The Public Information Committee meeting met yesterday, and as Sharon reported, the applications are live. And I want to thank the case managers because they were calling all the returning students. As you see, that was successful, as we already have 23 returning applications and 5 new. I did ask on communications, as I was told that the communications department will be limiting the social media advertising this year due to the eligibility criteria, as it now is 200%. I did ask, it was myself and Dr. Hogue in the meeting, we did ask to get clarification as to what advertising is going to be. I know they are gonna run it under News Story. They're not running it in the public libraries building, but they are gonna run it through their website, through their library services. I myself have been passing it around through my distribution list. I'm happy that it came back to 2 of agencies. It came back to me, so it's being circulated amongst. So I do urge every board member to go ahead and forward that to your agencies, other distribution lists that you may have. As you know, we have the wonderful flyers, we have the posters, both in English and in Spanish, with all the criterias. And we just want to get the word out. And I would ask Sharon if she heard from the communications department as to where they will be advertising.
Yes, I sent an email to our communications point of contact right after the Public Information Committee, and I asked. I have not received a response yet, but as soon as I do, I'll follow up with you and let you know the response.
Okay, thank you. Also, in regards to the CSBG CAB public relations meetings, as you know, this is a hybrid meeting, and on the website, if anyone has public comment, there is a link that they can submit their public comment, and it will go directly to Derek. If we do have, since right now we had hybrid style so we don't have any public comments, but it is on the website, and it is available for, if anybody did want to reach out and give their comment, it will go directly to Derek. And that's my report for public information. I do want to state that I attended the Management and Leadership Conference. It was very well attended, and it was great sessions and great seminars. Because it ended on Friday, it did not go out with the mail out, so I'm hoping that my report will go out to the next CAB meeting. And that is my report.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, this is Maria. Just wanted to give an update on the membership and membership committee. There is a letter in your packet that the city of Temple Terrace did assign a member. So if members want to review that, I believe his name is Thomas Mortensen, was appointed by Temple Terrace, and due to not having a quorum tonight, maybe at the next meeting he could be seated, formally seated.
Thank you so much for that update. If we could revert back to our packets and review his letter of recommendation for approval and seating at our next board meeting. I see we have a new member in the House. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Jennifer Anderson with the Plant City Advisory Council.
So we have just completed the standing committee reports, but do you have anything to add other than what Ms. Gordon presented for you?
No, ma'am. We have nothing right now.
Okay.
Still waiting on information.
All right, thank you so much. The FY 2021 budget is next on the agenda, but we do not have a quorum, so we cannot approve, right? We still don't have a quorum, or do we?
Ms. Anderson, no, we do not have a quorum, and I do recommend that this item is deferred to the next executive committee meeting and possibly consider meeting hybrid so that you can vote and possibly ratify during the next full board meeting. Because there's been ample discussion over the budget. Staff delivered what was requested, so now it's down to just making the final decision, and I recommend that at the next executive committee.
Thank you. Any objections to that? And I do want to say that staff did an awesome job in presenting the data that everyone requested at the last meeting. I really appreciate you guys going the length to get that. It was very informative, and I'm hoping that we can continue that process as we go forward to minimize the amount of conversation and questions that board members have. And I also want to state at this time, the agenda goes out. I have requested that the agenda go out to all the board members prior to it being approved. Once I review it, I'm sorry, just give me a minute. Once I review it, I asked Ms. Gordon and staff to send it out to the board members to see if there are any items that you want to see if can be put on the agenda. Of course, those items would have to be vetted and approved prior to going on the agenda, and my purpose for doing that was to make sure that everybody's questions are being addressed, or concerns are being addressed, and we have knowledge of it ahead of time so we don't prolong these meetings with discussion. Staff have time to collect whatever requested data and bring it to the meeting. So that's why you guys are getting those prior to, with the question, if you have anything that you want to put on there or have vetted to put on there, that you can do it at that time. Ms. Lewis.
I'm sorry, is your mic on?
Yes, but I'm just struggling here, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. Because you know, you're going up and down, and
yes,
I can tell when you get tired, your voice gets real low and it gets muffled.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm struggling. I've been struggling for a while with this, but it's what we got to do.
No, I understand. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So
Madam Chair.
Do I need to repeat anything, Ms. Lewis?
Girl,
are you
don't
good?
worry about it. It'll be all right. I'll live.
Okay.
Madam Chair, this is Maria.
Yes.
Can I ask or request something from the board?
Yes.
The direction that you've provided to the staff to send out the agenda for additional comments. Is it possible to have staff send the request prior to you approving the agenda? This would cut down on the back and forth, and it would also give staff ample time to get that agenda and the packet out on time. So I was thinking maybe if 1 week prior to the packet going out and you approving the agenda, if an email can go out to all board members requesting additional information that they want to see placed on the agenda, it would cut down on staff time.
I have no problem with that, if that works for everyone. So that's fine, Ms. Gillis. I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure, though, that if anyone has anything that they feel they want to discuss or we need to discuss as a board, that we all know about it ahead of time and everybody's given the opportunity so we don't spend a whole lot of time belaboring in these meetings over information or requests that staff didn't know that they were going to need or we as a board weren't prepared to discuss as a whole. So that's the whole purpose.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I know in some items, as they come up in the committee meeting, if the committee meetings, like, for instance, the public information met yesterday, so the packet was already sent out last Friday. So some things may be brought up at discussion that were brought up at the committee meeting to bring up for the board. Is that okay? Because
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It doesn't affect our committee meetings. Right. It's other items, say, for instance, like the request that Mr. Thomas is requesting, you know, so we can have those things ahead of time. Staff have time to prepare to be able to give an informed report without us having to go back and forth as a board. Okay?
I understand. Thank you.
Earlier this year when, or was it last year? I don't even know what year we're in anymore. I met with staff to come up with ways where we can show people that we appreciate you volunteering your time, first of all, because all of us in the room are volunteers. And we want to showcase you and your agency putting forth and coming and supporting this board. So we decided that we would highlight 2 board members every month, where we would have those board members give us a little bit of an overview of who they are and what the agency that they represent is about. So for this month, I wanted to keep it on the agenda because we are trying to get back to as normal as possible. And I don't want to keep putting it off because then that deters people from wanting to support. So for this month, we have Gabriel Brown with Head Start Policy Council and Christine Long with Metropolitan Ministries. So Mr. Brown, if you could give us a little bit about you and what you do within your agency.
Okay. So hope y'all can hear me. Basically, my name is Gabriel Brown. I represent the Head Start of Hillsborough County, the early Head Start. I'm the policy council member. I'm the chair of that. I'm from Chicago. I'm a single dad. I've been in Tampa. It will be 2 years this July. It has been an interesting transition, but I've learned a lot. I'm happy that I've been able to be a member of the board because I'm learning a lot and still kind of trying to find my place with this board and what, you know, and I would like to be a little bit more involved. As far as me, myself, like I said, I'm from Chicago, single dad. I'm a current college student. My major right now is business, and I'm also looking into something medically. I play basketball. I played semi-pro, so I was traveling doing that, but due to COVID, everything kind of stopped. I currently am sort of employed, but not really. I work with the Braves, the Buccaneers, and from time to time, I'm at the Tampa Convention Center, but that's all only on a need-be basis. I like reading. I'm spiritual. I have not attended church since I've been in Florida, but I do online services. I was out in the field during the COVID, when the COVID first hit. I was doing work with FEMA, so I was out there firsthand, kind of seeing what was going on, and from the cold trucks putting bodies on them to dealing with, holding people's hands as they passed over. I have unfortunately been able to experience all of that. By the grace of God, of course, I've had no issues with COVID, nor have my children. And like I said, I'm open book. I love, like I said, I attended the training last week, and I definitely enjoyed it a lot. So I do want to thank everybody for allowing me to attend. It was very informational, and I hope to be able to do more trainings. And I hope to, like I said, be able to be a little bit more active with the board and be able to, play a part in my community, and just be able to be a difference. I'm a member of Robles Park. That's my residency. So I'm definitely trying to get a little bit more active with what's going on over there, because there's, of course, a lot of things happening. So I guess that would be all.
Okay, Mr. Brown, thank you so much. On behalf of this board, I want to say thank you for your commitment to serve. Thank you for serving your community. We look forward to you advancing or getting more involved, as you stated you want to do. I'm sure there's plenty we can find for you to do on this board. So we look forward to interacting with you, more to come in the future. Thank you so much. Ms. Long from Metropolitan Ministries.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity, first of all, to serve on this board and for this opportunity to speak. So I have been participating here on the CAB board on my second year, and I so appreciated all the welcoming of the CAB, the staff, as well as the board. I've been working at Metropolitan Ministries for 27 years. I started off as a counselor, visiting families in their homes after they left the shelter, and had this incredible opportunity to meet families where they live, to connect with them in a very special and profound way. Through those early experiences in my career, I was really able to meet people where they're at, learn a lot about the community, about where folks that are struggling live, and develop programs throughout the last 27 years to help meet the needs of struggling families in our neighborhoods. This is truly a passion of mine, serving this community, serving the families that we serve, making sure we're providing the best services possible at Metropolitan Ministries to meet the most pressing needs. Participating in something like the CAB board is so important for me personally, so that I can learn. So I can learn from all of you about what is needed, how we can best serve. During this time of COVID, it's really been a transformational time for Metropolitan Ministries. Like all of us, we had to pivot very quickly on how we provided services and what services we provided. And we went to virtual services, drive-through services, like so many other organizations have had to do. And we have been able to serve many, many more people in this new format. And one of the things that we did significantly increased was giving people financial assistance, for rental assistance, for utility assistance, those types of things. Previously, we had maybe served a couple of 100 households a year with a very small budget that was donated to us by churches and local community members. But this year, we have been able to distribute $2.2 million worth of financial assistance to over 2,000 households. Because we were doing it virtually, we were able to spread out and help everyone from everywhere. They didn't have to come downtown Tampa to receive services. So we were really able to reach out into the community in a bigger and profound way. We are planning on continuing that effort as long as it's needed, and as long as the donations from the community and our government partners continue to come our way. We're continuing to serve that way, as well as meeting the needs of hunger throughout the community. One of the other things that we do is we provide, of course, a shelter for homeless families and then housing for families after they leave the shelter. And we are having a grand opening and opening up Sable Place. It's 112-unit affordable housing apartments in Seffner, Dover area. Beautiful facility. We're just now taking applications for households to move in. We should be having folks move in the beginning of March. So that's a kind of a new venture for us to really try to reach out to a really important need in the community and through affordable housing. A little bit about me personally. Besides, I have worked at Metropolitan Ministries basically my whole working career. Before that, I was a stay-at-home mom. And I went to school, got my master's degree, my degrees while my kids were in elementary school. And then I was looking for a job as counselor. I'm a mental health counselor by education. And I remember hearing about Metropolitan Ministries from my church. I was basically, I was a room mother and a Sunday school teacher and, all of those wonderful volunteer things I had a chance to do. And I came down to downtown Tampa, and I'd never met a homeless person before coming. And I sat down for my job interview, and next to me was a mom, and she was there for an interview to move into shelter. And kind of in that moment, we connected, and we talked, and all my fears about serving this population kind of faded away, and I realized how her and I were connected in a very special way. And so that was my first job interview I ever had, and it's my last job interview I ever had because I got hired. And so it's been a wonderful blessing for me to serve this community in this capacity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Metropolitan Ministries is a true asset to this community. I don't think you can go anywhere in this community and not hear something about Metropolitan Ministry. So for you and your agency, thank you. Thank you for volunteering to serve this community. Thank you for what you offer to this board. You are a true asset. You bring a wealth of knowledge. And being in housing for the last 17 years, I do understand the connection with the people that you serve. So again, on behalf of this board, thank you so much, and we appreciate everything you do. Look forward to more and more from you as the years to come. So as I said, every month we will be highlighting one or two board members. So, prepare your elevator speeches. So now we are down to Department of Social Services, Ms. Ziegler.
Good evening, board members, and thank you all for participating this evening. Whether you're in person at County Center or hybrid, I appreciate you taking your time away from celebrating the big Buccaneer Super Bowl win today. And so I really do appreciate all that you all do and taking time this evening, and especially knowing that we don't have a quorum, and so this meeting won't necessarily result in the outcome that we had hoped for, which was getting the budget adopted. So nonetheless, I think like Ms. Hill said, our chairperson said, let's continue to move forward with the schedule and conduct these meetings, whether it's virtual or hybrid, so that we stay in a pattern of meeting and hopefully get back to normal where we can get these votes accomplished. So I also want to say thank you for the discussion that you all had with the staff over the budget. I know the first meeting probably didn't go as well as it could have, and I think we drove it home the second time, and so we all found our stride, and we were able to take all your concerns and consideration that you had put towards the decisions that you wanted to see in the budget, and so we were able to pivot quickly and get you all what you needed, and I think, like quite a few members have said, that was a little bit more productive. So going forward, we'll utilize the format that we did on the second meeting and start to streamline how those discussions go. But I think using the subject matter experts and looping in our accountant, looping in our program people, I think that format worked a little bit better than just having one person kind of try to answer all the questions for you. One thing I want to highlight, other than what's already highlighted in the report that we provide, so if you take a moment to read through that, that report, it is pretty comprehensive. It's kind of high level, so if you ever have any questions about something you see in there, just let us know. So I won't take up too much time this evening, but I want to let you know that Ms. Gillis and I met with CareerSource earlier this week, And we'll be looking at how we can partner with them going forward a little bit more closely so that our self-sufficiency candidates that are enrolled in FEP and education empowerment, even the youth empowerment programs, there's lots of opportunity with Career Source. And I think like this board and like this staff, we've all been focused on crisis intervention this last 12 months, going on 13 months almost. So we're going to get back to looking at self-sufficiency efforts and how we can partner with Career Source to make that more prevalent in people's discussions on how they move forward with finding, opportunities in the community to find employment, stable housing, and whatnot. And John Flanagan was very, very encouraging to us, and I think he's ready to move forward in tandem with us more so than ever before. And that was my takeaway from the meeting. So we'll be working with Sharon and Cindy going forward to let them know how to get their staff connected so they can get their enrollees and FEP connected immediately. The other thing I wanted to mention, I think it's been mentioned just briefly by the managers, is we are gearing up to launch another phase of R3. We have approximately $38 million that we'll be dedicating to shelter relief. So we'll be paying for past due shelter obligation for tenants who are past due on their shelter obligation due to COVID-19 impacts. And I'm very happy that Mr. Henderson is part of the group that we met with earlier this week. We're reaching out to landlords. We're trying to partner a little bit more in the community with the actual vendors so that they're aware of how to apply and how to help their tenants apply for the program. And this go around, we'll be paying landlords directly rather than tenants. And so Mr. Henderson will be able to champion the program with this group and explain it in tandem with staff. And so that I think that will be helpful. It's always helpful to have one from staff and one from the board to kind of give you both perspectives on how things will be going. That's a very robust team. We have people involved from legal. We have people involved in programming. We're working on purchasing a very robust call center with over 80 call center representatives to answer the phone at expanded hours. We're putting together a team of almost 25 employees, both social services staff that will be repurposed and solely dedicated to the project, in addition to hiring temps that are, and a lot of the temps we hired last time were people that were working prior to COVID and were impacted by COVID. So we were able to rehire them to have an income, during that difficult time, and we kept them employed for several months. So that's a twofold for the program, as we're also offering some employment opportunities. So more to come on that program. We expect it to launch for landlords to register in the middle of March, and then we'll go live with tenant applications shortly thereafter. So Mr. Henderson and I will keep you all abreast of that program and how you can reach out in the community, along with our communications department, to make sure your areas are aware of that program and how to apply. The last thing I have is something that we talked about at the last meeting, which is we're going to be reaching out to you to provide an emergency contact for staff. So for example, if you aren't in attendance at quite a few meetings and we aren't able to make contact with you either by the phone or email or by sending you a letter, we would like for you to consider having an alternate contact on file with us. So someone else we can reach out to just to touch base and make sure you're okay. So it won't be intrusive. And if you're late to a meeting or you just happen to miss one meeting, we're not going to be calling all over and looking for you. But if we haven't heard from you in quite some time and we're all worried about you, we wanted a mechanism to be able to reach you and just know that you're okay. So Mr. Guida will be sharing that form with you to fill out, and it's completely optional. And we'll just hang on to that and keep it in file with Mr. Guida in case we ever need it. So that's all I have. If there's any questions, we have almost an hour, so I can answer them for you.
Are there any questions, comments, questions for Ms. Ziegler?
Yes, Madam Chair, William Thomas.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank Ms. Ziegler and thank Joey. I know he's in earshot for being a glutton for punishment to join in on that effort. So I'm glad to hear Joey Henderson, the Vice Chair, has jumped into that effort regarding R3 and look forward to a perspective and an education from the infamous Mr. Henderson. So thank you, Audrey, and thank you, Joey.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes, sir.
I just need to see if maybe you can confirm for me, or maybe somebody in the bylaws committee, the items which we need to meet in person to vote on. So for example, tonight, there was at least one item that we were hoping to there was more than one, but at least one item we were hoping to vote on. With regards to quorum, can you confirm that the only way to achieve quorum is to achieve quorum in person? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, yes, I was going to defer that back to staff, yes.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I bring it up is because obviously things come up all the time and things happen, but under the best of circumstances, that is true. And with what's going on and the circumstances we're all trying to work around right now with COVID, I think that's more of the case. So I think, again, that's why this body is as big as it is to some extent, is to try to have some overlap and account for things like that. But if the only way to achieve quorum is to achieve quorum in person, and we're dealing with COVID as we continue to, this is going to continue to be an issue. And I think I'm only stating the obvious to make sure that our expectations are sort of in line with that,
Yes, sir, I do understand. I'm sorry.
Joey Henderson had.
Mr. Henderson, did you have something to say?
Yes, ma'am. And first of all, I want to thank Mr. Thomas for the compliment, and believe me, all the credit goes to the staff and their willingness to collaborate with the community and look at the program and figure out, from the lessons learned and on improvements. So I thought Ms. Ziegler, you and your team were phenomenal in that meeting, and were able to answer the questions and really pull people in. With regards to the concern about our quorum, and that was a question I did have in my mind with regards to trying to meet quorum. Staff, how many people are required to be in person for the meeting once again?
I'll defer to Mr. Guida, but I believe 12, and I'll have him confirm that for me based on the current roster.
That is correct. At this time, it would be 12, isn't it?
12. And so in the event that we really need to make decisions, have the decisions made regarding particularly the budget, what are our options? I mean, do we need to call an emergency meeting where we have to have our former folks committed to going to the meeting? What would be the option?
Go ahead, Maria. I'll mute.
Mr. Henderson, I guess as Ms. Gordon stated at the beginning, the best course of action is to take things that need to be voted on with the executive team, have a quorum there, which is a smaller group. It's easier to corral smaller groups for a quorum, and then have them vote and then ratify at a meeting where we do have a quorum with the entire board. I think that's the best way, so that way we're not waiting, especially with something like the budget that we need to kind of get going with.
So we still need to have a quorum of the board to ratify what the executive board has voted on, correct?
Correct, but at least we would have a vote and we could move forward, and it would just need to be ratified at a later time.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Do you have, okay. And in actuality, that is what we're having to do on another board that I'm on, because we seem to never have a quorum on that board as well. It is challenging, and staff will schedule the next executive committee meeting as soon as they can get it on the roster, and then we can go ahead and have a vote and rectify it at our next board meeting. Ms. Gillis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I only have a few items, and I will be brief. I just wanted to inform the board that staff did submit our organizational standards. We were on time. We are very confident that we are going to meet that standard. We have not received any feedback telling us otherwise, so we're really excited that, again, our track number is pretty good. So we're excited to let the board know that. The second thing is that I know that for a long time we talked about we were getting a new system. Well, we finally do have the new system. It's the name is NewGen, and we currently are working. Hillsborough County has been selected to be on their work group to discuss different changes that need to happen to the system and what upgrades need to happen to the system. So we're happy that we have someone from in-house that will be on that work group to kind of give input on what our needs are also for that new system, to make it more robust and get more reporting to the board. The last thing, and I think Audrey covered this, but I wanted to also personally thank all of those who were at the workshop and participated. Staff really appreciates all the feedback and all the recommendations. We have taken it to heart, and we're really changing the way that we're collecting data and the way that we're looking at our reporting and also presentations in the future. So thank you so much to the board and to those who participated. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Ziegler again or Ms. Gillis? Ms. Anderson.
I have a question for Ms. Ziegler. On the when the R3 program continues, can you hear me?
I can.
How about now?
I can hear you.
Okay. When the R3 program continues, are any changes to the rules at all as far as employment?
There are some changes to the rules this time, and the changes are not going to be implemented based on a local policy. So this time around, the U.S. Treasury provided the funding along with guidance that's pretty clear on what the eligibility criteria is. So it does also require that we have a prioritization. So access to the program will be opened up first to anyone who's at 50% of the AMI income threshold and below. And then depending on how much funding is left over after that, the program then expands and opens up to anyone who's up to 80% AMI or below.
Now, I guess maybe I should have worded the question directly. I'm talking about people that are unemployed. Is it going to change for the ones that actually work for themselves within other people's businesses? Is that going to change?
The changes are significant, and so I think if someone has been unemployed for 90 days prior to application, they're categorically eligible based on the guidance and the way we're reading it today with our county attorney's office. So it really depends on their last 90 days of verifiable income, whether it be through self-employment or through, an hourly wage or whatnot.
Because last time they didn't cover hairdressers, nail techs, anybody that worked within another business for themselves. So that was
the program did assist those. The problem is that they had to validate their pay. The guidance, the local policy was very strict on validating when someone worked and when they were impacted by COVID. So they actually had to get something from their employer, even though they were self-employed or contracted, saying that they were working prior to COVID. And that was the challenge for people to provide. So the impact to COVID will still be critical to applications, yes.
So the answer is no, it didn't change.
As long as they can verify they were impacted by COVID. I do believe, Ms. Anderson, that the impact to COVID is defined a little different. It's expanded to say if you were infected with COVID, or you were, a family member in your house had COVID, or you couldn't have childcare because of employment, daycare centers were closed. So I believe it's broadened, but we're still going through the guidance. But it's not wages impacted, it's overall impacted by COVID this time around.
Yeah, but the issue that we had before was that there was people that worked inside, let's say, a hair salon. They rented space, and they couldn't get the person that owned the salon to sign a paper for them because they didn't work for the salon. And if the salon signed the paper, then in the future that made the salon owners liable because they verified that they were their employer when they weren't. So they had people that would not or could not get it signed. So that was a problem that had come up before. So I was just wondering if that rule had changed.
I'll have to be completely honest with you. I don't think we're far enough down the eligibility criteria path, and Mr. Hendricks can tell you that we just started discussions about the program and how it will look. and we are starting our focus with landlords and how do landlords become eligible vendors. And then from there, we'll be going through the guidance more specifically. But what I can tell you is it's heavily weighted on the last 90 days of income prior to the application.
Okay.
That seems to be more the driving force this time around. So that anyone that currently doesn't have income or very, very low income right now won't be impacted by being evicted for not paying their rent. I'm sorry, I don't have more information on that.
It's something that needs to be changed. I just don't agree with it. But I'll take steps elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you, Ms. Ziegler. Are there any more questions for Ms. Ziegler? Are there any more questions or discussion for the group?
Hi, Madam Chair. This is Shelley.
Yes. Hi, Shelley.
I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Jackson. I'm so glad to see that he's here. I've had the pleasure and opportunity of collaborating and working with him on the West Central Advisory Council. So I am certainly glad to see him here as part of this body.
Thank you, Shelley. And can you just introduce yourself for the record?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Shelley Hamilton Ray, manager, Lee Davis.
Thank you so much.
Talk about good of the order?
Well, we're going to that now, yes. So we are down to the good of the order. Does anyone have anything?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Henderson, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes, quickly, just three things that I want to bring to everyone's attention. And first of all, I want to thank Ms. Gillis for pointing out the appointment of Morrison to Temple Terrace. And I was going to mention that for the good of the order because we really didn't talk about it at our bylaws meeting. And also just want to bring to attention that regardless of situations, what have you, that due diligence will be done again to reach out to members. But if you are in danger of missing 4 meetings and what have you, you will receive that letter. The attendance notice is done out of protocol. And so please, whatever you do, folks, don't take it personal if you do happen to get a letter. Things happen, and we want to just make sure everyone is okay, and that this is still something that you're able to participate in. But with that, also, as was mentioned, I also attended the 2021 CAP Management Leadership Training Conference. It was awesome. Once I was able to get in, I was concerned that I couldn't get in, but once Mr. Rita was very helpful in making that happen and getting me into the conference. I assure you folks, if you haven't yet to attend CAP sponsored conference, you really need to do that. It does open up your mind and your understanding about CAP. Sometimes I find it a little frustrating because I'm in a session that really is more geared towards the private community action versus the public, but I try to also find out where the strengths and weaknesses are for our public board. I'm not going to go through everything that I attended, but one of the things I definitely attended was a keynote session, a fireside chat with Dr. Ibram X. Kendi. And this, I happen to be listening to probably 2/3 of the way through one of his books, How to Be an Anti-Racist. And he talks about how poverty is ultimately entwined with racism. And he brings out the nuances that as much as I've been in this industry, that I had never even realized, and was very reflective in terms of my own behavior as a Black man. So I would encourage you to pick up one of his books and learn a little bit more about that. And then I think Ms. Harlow, who is the NCAP president, Denise Harlow, did an excellent job in putting this virtual conference together. I just want to also remind you, as Ms. Marcia Sedano mentioned earlier in terms of submitting a report, that as CAB members, and of course our newer members don't know this, but when you do attend conference that we have asked CAB members to just write a summary. You don't have to write everything for me, I have my own personal guide. What I attended, what's the takeaway, and opportunities for our boards. And I assure you, there's some opportunities in my report that you'll see that I would encourage you to visit these websites. And again, it's just an excellent resource. The third thing I just wanted to bring to your attention is that at Greater Tampa Realtors, I'm looking for college student interns. I have 2 positions available, one in our communications department, someone who's skilled particularly in website development and management, and then also for my in my government affairs department, and I am these are reports to me directly. Someone who can interested in government affairs. The communications department person can be a community college, second-year community college, but everyone else for the government affairs, they have to be at least a junior in college. And I'll be happy to send Mr. Rita the job description so that maybe there's someone that you know who would like to apply. That's my good for the order. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Thomas, did you have something?
Yes, Madam Chair, if all others have gone up, I wanted to give a shout out to Miss Sharon Gordon for anytime somebody makes a trek out to the eastern reaches of eastern Hillsborough County, our part of universe. She came out to drop off some masks, so I get all excited when someone makes a trek out to eastern Hillsborough. So a good shout out. I did email her en route, and that was just over my excitement and just glad to see our staff come out to our regions of the area. I did also want to give another shout out to Al Coleman, who was with the county. He has been very intentional regarding the vaccine efforts. And he has reached out to rural areas, including Beesville, to get those residents vaccinated. And his efforts are coming out very well. They are doing an aggressive vaccination program this weekend on Saturday. So again, just want to note, the county, again, is trying to make sure they are fair and across the board. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yes, Madam Chair, my hand is up. I don't know if you can see it or not. This is Noreen Copeland Miller.
Yes, Ms. Miller, and then after Ms. Miller, we'll have Ms. Lewis.
Okay, I just want to, as chair of the membership and nominating committee, I want to thank Ms. Maria Gillis for bringing up that we have filled that position in Tampa Terrace. I overlooked the letter in the packet, but thanks staff so much for that, and I will follow up Mr. Coleman and let him know that that's been filled. Also, I do want to thank Sharon Gordon for delivering masks to one of our board members, Ms. Shonda Obi, to distribute in the community. Thank you, Ms. Gordon, for that. And my last thing is I have a question for Mr. Henderson, because I think he said 4-day meetings, but in the bylaws, I thought it was 3 consecutive meetings. And then you were...
I said 3.
Excuse me?
I said 3. Madam Chair, I said 3.
Oh, I thought I heard 4, but I wasn't sure. I just wanted clarity. Okay, thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Okay, Ms. Lewis.
I just want to remind everybody that February is Black History Month. And I ask that everyone go out and educate yourself on some type of Black history and know the history and understand the history and let it digest in your system. This week, I am studying and researching Fannie Lou Hamer. She's an excellent person, has an amazing story, beautiful testimony. I encourage everyone to get involved. Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the floor? If not, I would like to close us out with just announcing that you may have seen on one of the news stations in the last couple of days that the Meacham Urban Farm is open downtown Tampa, which is located on Scott Street, just inside of the Encore next to the old Boys and Girls Club. So that is fresh vegetables, that's fresh eggs, and soon to be honey from the bee hive that's going out there. as well as we're getting ready to put an orchard, a fruit orchard out there. So as of this Saturday, 9 o'clock, it will be open to the public every Saturday from 9 to 1. So you can get your fresh vegetables and your organic products downtown Tampa. And that is the Housing Authority Encore Development. So
I'm gonna be there at 8:45.
well, don't get the collard greens because they already called for it. But anyway, so that is it. If there is no more for the good of the order.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
And I also just wanted to share that the Greater Tampa Realtors applies for and receives a national grant called Community Placement Grant. And this year we were able to get the funding, and as of today, we were able to partner with Hillsborough County Recs and Parks Department to go out in Apollo Beach to assist them with upgrading their community garden. These kinds of grants have to apply to public attended types of venues for community improvements. And so if you know of anything out there, please send it my way. And if we're able to get some funding for it, I'll be more than happy to try to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Plant City. That's your opportunity.
Madam Chair, I like to, if there's no or go to order, Madam Chair, I like to provide a closeout with a word of inspiration, a phrase of inspiration. Quote I like to ask today is one man's trash is another man's treasure. And this goes out to all my friends who observed the Super Bowl win this weekend. One man's trash is another man's treasure. So again, thank you all for coming out today. Just had to throw that out there as a good of the order. Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you. And before we get into that discussion, this meeting at 6:28 p.m. is officially adjourned.
Thank you again, everyone. Have a good evening.